What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Uprise podcast. I already see some people getting confused with the title. I just wanted to see if you guys would get confused with that. That's why I put prediction first, guys. We got a prediction that Hassan Whiteside will go to the Dallas Mavericks. We're going to talk about why the Dallas Mavericks are such a great fit for Hassan Whiteside, why it makes sense for us to trade Hassan to the Mavericks, and we're going to get into that. But first off, let's just jump straight into picks against the spread because it's past 4 o'clock. So what me and Eric decided to do for you guys with this is we're not doing any double down picks. Every game you guys pick today is a double down game. So this is a very important game or a very important day for you guys to catch up in picks against the spread. The reason we're doing that is because we have picked 12 more games than you guys, and there's 12 games today. So making yours all worth 2 wins or 2 losses, and making ours just worth 1. That'll catch you guys up, and we'll have an even number of games. Now, because there's 12 games, that's why this podcast took so long to go live. Was finishing up all the graphics for this. It was a grind, to say the least. We haven't had this many games since I started doing these graphics, so yeah, I was just trying to finish those up, and it took a bit longer than to be expected. But we're here. We're ready to go. We're ready to hop into picks against the spread. Now, on our last, what was it? We didn't have a Monday podcast, so Friday, me and Eric, we went 3-5. Chat, I think this is the first day you've beaten both of us. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it is. You guys went 5-3. So now on the season, I'm 96 and 99. Eric is 103 and 92, and you guys are 87 and 96. So this is a big chance for you guys to catch up and make some ground here. So anyway, here we go with our very first game of the day. About tipping off probably right now, we got the Philadelphia 76ers against the Toronto Raptors. This game is being played in Toronto. Joel Embiid isn't playing yet, and I'm taking the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors are favored by 7 points. I think they'll win by more than that. I just have confidence in the Raptors. They've been playing well lately. Philadelphia's been inconsistent, kind of struggling, so I'm rolling with the Raptors in this game.
I'm going to take the 76ers. The Sixers have actually played fairly well without Embiid, and People's Mix especially will appreciate that Simmons is a much better player without Embiid, according to him. So I know he's going to take Philly, but I like getting 7 points in this situation.
Yep. So anyway, yeah, post your vote in the chat like always. Going on to the next game. We don't have the fancy transition slides for you guys. I apologize for that. That was just, with these many games, that was hard to get out. Shout out to Elias for the $15 donation. Said, finally here for a live show. Let's get it. I appreciate the donation, bro. That's a huge donation. Thank you very much. Anyway, going on to the next game. We got...
I think I'm going to go with Toronto for chat.
Toronto for chat? All right. Nice that Elias can finally make it for a live stream.
Yeah, what's up, Elias?
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice getting some people here.
Missed you, man.
Yeah, honestly, I was kind of like, I don't want to go. I want to go live at 3, not 4. But I think it's easier for people to get in here at 4. So, I mean, is it really a bad thing that it took an extra hour? I don't think so. Anyway, our next game, we got Magic in Orlando against the Thunder. The Thunder are favored by 1.5 points. I'm going with the Thunder for this game. Thunder is just the better team. It's about an even pick there, but Thunder have been playing well as of late. So it's an easy pick for the Thunder, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Thunder. Magic have been hit or miss this season against the spread. But yeah, OKC has covered a lot of games, so I like them to win this game as well.
Alrighty. We got chat popping off with the votes. Good luck counting those. Here we go. Next game. We got the Detroit Pistons against the Sacramento Kings in Detroit, and it's a pickup. It's an even spread, so whoever you think is going to win is who you pick here. I didn't move your camera up. Your face is super low on the screen, but whatever. I'm going with the Sacramento Kings in this game. I think they're a little bit better. Detroit is banged up. They don't got Blake Griffin. I think Sacramento's going to win this game.
Yeah, I wrestled with this one a little bit. I just took Detroit since they're at home. Sacramento's kind of burnt me when I've picked them a couple times. So I'm going to go with Detroit.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose getting it done.
Yeah, I don't really like picking for either of these teams, but now they're facing off against each other. There's no spread to go off of. This was not an easy game. It was just kind of a coin flip for me. But anyway.
Hey, real quick,
Yeah, what's up?
Chiefin. That's why it says prediction. He asked how we know Whiteside will be
Yep,
traded to Dallas.
prediction. I was testing you guys. To see which one of you guys would read the first word in the title that said prediction, and which one of you guys would be like, how do you know he's getting traded there? He's getting traded there. I thought about putting like prediction in parentheses last for you guys, but I put it first to help you out. That's gonna be our prediction. We'll get to that though. It's picks against the spread time. Anyway, next game. We got the New York Knicks playing in Madison Square Garden, and the Los Angeles Lakers is their opponent. The Lakers are favored by 12 points. I'm rolling with the Lakers. That 12-point spread is not enough for me to take the Knicks against the Lakers.
Yes, same here. Lakers, when they have Anthony Davis and LeBron playing, are way better than Knicks, so I expect them to cover pretty easily.
Yep. Chief and Blazer says my fault.
We're just messing with you,
yeah,
man.
we're messing with you. It's a little test. J.L. Rodriguez says clickbait. I don't know how it's clickbait because it's true. That is my prediction. And I said prediction. And then I stated my prediction. That's not clickbait. That's 100% truth. Anyway, you said you took the Lakers? Did you respond to that? Okay.
Yep.
There we go.
Hamza, what's Sacramento's road record? He's giving me crap because the Pistons are 8-13 at home, but I said I'd take them because they're at home.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think their road record is any better. They just suck all around. So you should be taking the Kings. The Pistons are garbage, bro. I'm gonna win that game. I'm gonna catch
Derrick
up
Rose,
to you.
man.
That's the plan tonight. If chat gets every pick right, they could go 24-0. That's kind of scary, actually.
Yeah.
They could completely flip the script. Obviously, they're not going to be perfect. Knocking on wood here, but they could make up some serious ground with this one. That's why I kind of liked this idea that you had to get us even with games, but also give chat a chance to step up to the plate. It's crunch time. Can you guys step up in the clutch like Damian Lillard against Golden State? We'll see. Anyway, here we go. Next game. We got the Miami Heat versus the Washington Wizards. Heat are favored by 9.5 points. Jimmy Butler was questionable going into this game, but he will play. I'm rolling with the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler playing just kind of caps that one off for me. The Heat are a much better team. The Wizards don't have much home court advantage, in my opinion. Their crowd is very, very quiet. It's like kind of like a library in there. So I'm rolling with the Miami Heat with this game. Just far better team.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. No real need to add to that.
Okie dokie. Next game. I have to move your camera up for every scene. I don't know why it's like down a lot more, but it's like you're eating the no, you don't have to do that. I'm just moving it up. You don't have to sit up straight like a model citizen or anything. But yeah, it did look like you were eating the damn graphic on the bottom. Anyway, next game. We got Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta against the Los Angeles Clippers. So, what'd you say were the injuries for this game?
I know Kawhi and Paul George are out, and then they just announced that Trae Young is also out. But I thought there was a third person important on the Clippers that was out as well.
Yeah,
maybe Beverly or somebody.
Yeah, so basically both these teams are injured, are beat up, but the Clippers are favored by only 3 points in Atlanta. I feel like with Atlanta not having Trae Young, the Clippers could be missing those three guys and still easily handle this game. So I'm rolling with the Clippers there.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to take the Clippers. As we'll get to later, injured teams sometimes have random guys step up. So hopefully that'll be.
This game is intriguing. It is intriguing to see what will happen here because who knows what will happen. I feel like anything could happen here. This next game, other than Zion's return, I think this is the game of the night, like at least the most underrated game. We got Boston Celtics in Boston against the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have been killing it lately. They've been making a playoff run. John Morant has been playing phenomenal basketball. But the Boston Celtics are still favored by 7 points. It's in Boston, so I kind of understand that spread, but I'm rolling with the Grizzlies here. I think this will be a very close game. I think this will be a very entertaining game to watch, and I think Memphis will make it closer than a 7-point spread.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown is out tonight for Boston. They've been not really serious injuries, but they've had a lot of guys miss games recently. I like Memphis to keep it close. They've been playing really well.
Alrighty. Next game we rolling through all 12 games here. This is our fourth to last one, which is kind of crazy. I didn't even put in your pick. All right, there we go. Next game we got Houston Rockets in Houston against the Denver Nuggets. So there's a ton of injuries today, guys. The Rockets have, you said Jamal Murray out, Paul Millsap out, Gary Harris out.
Harris was doubtful. They just announced Michael Porter Jr. is also out, and Plumlee got hurt out for a couple
Plumlee's
weeks.
Yeah, Plumlee's out to 2 weeks to a month. So I expect him to come back after the All-Star break. Yeah, so Denver's super beat up. Houston's favored by 8.5 points. I'm taking the Houston Rockets. If there's a game for James Harden to break out, I think it's this one. I think he's been in a huge slump lately, but the Nuggets are super beat up. He's at home. I'm taking the Rockets there.
Yeah, this is the game I was talking about earlier when I said sometimes teams that are missing a bunch of guys just step up for some random reason. And the Rockets have been playing like garbage lately. I don't know if you saw the film of Russell Westbrook stealing the game-tying three-pointer away from Tucker in the corner for no reason.
I kind of watched it but didn't pay enough attention to really notice what happened. It was like people were like, "Is Russ serious?" And I was like, "What? He got the ball in the corner and shot a three." I didn't get it. I didn't realize he stole it from Tucker. That's funny.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm gonna take the Nuggets. Just that way I get 8.5 points.
Yeah, that's such a Russ thing to do. Man. Better point guard than Dame, though. Yeah, right. Get out of here. All right. Next game, we got the Bulls playing in Chicago against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are actually road favorites. They're favored to win by 1. I'm taking the Timberwolves. They've been playing a lot better now they got Karl-Anthony Towns back. That is to be expected, but they've been competitive. They've been playing better than the Bulls lately. So although it's in Chicago, I'm taking Minnesota with the point.
Yeah, I'm also taking Minnesota, as I do every time when Chicago plays. I just don't trust them to. Yeah. They have random good games, but for the most part, they've been bad. So I'll take Minnesota with Cat.
I'm mad at myself because I just mixed up the lingo. When you take the underdog, you say you take the underdog with the points, and I said to take Minnesota with the point. I just had to correct myself because I'm mad at myself for messing up that lingo.
Pick 'em when it's one.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm sounding like an amateur out here. Anyway, we got. Geez, why's your camera so? I don't know. I don't understand what's happening with my cameras on these slides, but Eric's camera just got super big on that one. All right, there we go. We're ready to go for this one. We got Phoenix going up against Indiana. Indiana is 1.5 point favorites, and this was every day. Usually I have a pick where I just say F it, screw it, and I just pick a team that I feel like I shouldn't be picking. But this game. Today, it's Phoenix winning against Indiana. They are playing in Phoenix, and Indiana's a 1.5 point favorite. So I'm going to take Phoenix with the 1.5 points.
I'm still, I haven't bought Phoenix all year, so I'm going to take the Pacers.
There you go. And we'll check in with chat after this. Did we actually trade him or what's going on? I said prediction in the title, my guy. Anyway, or girl, I don't know who said that.
It was Toilet Clogger.
Okay, yeah, I assume with a name like that, that's a guy right there. All right, so second to last game, we're getting here. Zion is making his debut. This game tips off at 6:30. It's on ESPN. I'll definitely be catching his debut. I just want to see how he looks. Him against LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan. This is going to be an interesting game. New Orleans is favored by 3.5 points at home. They've been playing better basketball lately, and we'll see if Zion can take them to another level. I'm rolling with the New Orleans Pelicans here. I think they'll end up taking, I think there will be a lot of buzz in the building. There will be a lot of energy. They'll have a good home court for this game. I think Zion will help them pull out this. I think Zion will help him pull out this win.
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite feeling I have is that there's going to be too much hype and they're going to come out a little overzealous, and San Antonio's a good team to combat that because they never really play too crazy. So I think they'll have a nice solid game and get the W here.
Makes sense. We'll see. Anyway. Yeah. Last game of the night.
Chat's agreeing with you, though.
Chat's agreeing with me, yeah. Anyway, last game of the night, we got Golden State or in San Francisco is probably the better way to phrase that. They're going against the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are favored by 8.5 points. I'm taking the Jazz. The Warriors suck.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Chat, make your picks. As I said before, for any of those, for those of you who didn't catch this, me and Eric aren't doing double downs, and your games count for 2 wins or 2 losses, depending on if you get it right or wrong. That's because me and Eric have picked 12 more games than you guys have, so this was just a way to get you guys even with us in terms of the standings. So I like that. That was an idea Eric had. It was a good idea. So this is a day where you guys can really make some ground, or you guys can lose some ground. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. We'll update you guys on Friday with how you did. All right. So, topic of today's podcast, unless you want to interject here.
No, I'll just say it was like all Jazz until a couple of people said Warriors, but
they try to go against the grain. Okay, yeah. So title of the video, right? I had some fun with this one. It's not clickbait because this is my prediction, but I put prediction there for a reason. I typed it in, Hassan Whiteside will be traded to the Dallas Mavericks, and then in parentheses I wanted to put prediction, but I was like, Eric, is that like going too far? That's going to fool too many people, huh? And he's like, yeah. So then I put prediction first for you guys. But so last night, man, we had another bad, terrible injury. You hate to see Achilles injuries, but the Dallas Mavericks center, Dwight Powell, went down with an Achilles injury. He'll be out for a year or so. I mean, that's a big two that relies on his athleticism. Who knows if he'll come back the same way. You know what I mean? I feel like he'll have more trouble recovering from that than a guy like Rodney Hood. I feel like Dwight Powell relies more on his athleticism than a guy like Rodney Hood does. So those types of players are the worst types of players to tear their Achilles. It just zaps their athleticism. It's tough to come back from that. But before Dwight Powell got hurt, I thought Hassan Whiteside was an intriguing option for the Dallas Mavericks. They were really the only playoff team that didn't have like a really legit starting center, in my opinion. Porzingis is a power forward, 7'3", they didn't really have a legit starting center. They had Dwight Powell, who's a very good role player, but not like a legit starting center. So I thought Whiteside was intriguing before Dwight Powell got hurt, but now that he's hurt, I think a trade with the Dallas Mavericks makes a ton of sense for both teams, because the Mavericks have Golden State's second-round pick this year, which right now would be 31st. That's literally the best second-round pick you can get. That's basically, what's the difference between that and the 30th pick? A late first. You know what I mean? That's a very good pick to have. I feel like they're looking to win this season, and they're going to try and get a center to replace Dwight Powell. The problem in Dallas's position is they traded their 2021 and 2023 first-round picks, so they can't trade a first-round pick until 2025, so I don't think they'll end up trading a first-round pick. So,
I think the protections on the 2023 pick, it's not unprotected, so it goes for a while, so I don't think they can trade that.
I thought 2021 was protected or something. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, so they have no first-round picks to trade, actually. They have no first-round picks, so I think they're going to try and see they're going to try and land the best center available for their second-round picks. You look at a team in Portland's position, right? This season is very tough. Whiteside, I don't think he'll want to resign as a backup center. I don't think he'll want to play here as a backup center. I think you got to go out and see what you can get for Hassan Whiteside. And when I'm just looking at these teams, looking at that second-round pick, and then also looking at the salaries, I think a trade with Portland and Dallas makes sense, because we could get a third guard who fits really well in DeLon Wright, who hasn't been playing, and he's actually played well this year. I don't know why he's not playing. He's played well. He's a defensive guy that can create plays and can score a little bit. Like, he's a big third guard. So that type of guard I've always thought is the perfect third guard for our offense, but I understand how some people would want to develop Anthony still. So in that case, DeLon Wright is an asset you could maybe flip to another team. Basically, I like the way the salaries line up, because you got Courtney Lee, which is a $12 million expiring for Dallas. They'd have to trade out about $21.5 million to match Hassan Whiteside's contract. You just got I was just messing around with hypothetical trades, man, and there was just a lot of trades that I felt like made a lot of sense for Dallas, made a lot of sense for Portland. Do you want to give your insight on that, and then I can get into some of those hypothetical trades?
Yeah. So real quick, the chat keeps mentioning Joakim Noah, who I guess Dallas reached out to.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a report that they were worried he wasn't fit enough or healthy enough to play. So I don't know if that's an option or why he hasn't been on a team yet this year. But there's no reason they couldn't sign someone like that and also trade for a big man that's better too. So
Exactly.
yeah, so the Dallas situation is interesting because they're far enough. They're over the cap, but they're far enough under the luxury tax where we could possibly avoid the luxury tax altogether and pick up that second round pick and a contract that we can use in trades next year plus an expiring. So
that is my first trade idea, is literally that exact structure right there.
Yeah. So just to go over a few minor details, the Blazers, if they were worried about clearing the luxury tax and not having any tax payment this year, they need to clear about $6.3 million. And so if you traded Whiteside with the Hazonia and only brought in like 22 or 23 million, you're pretty much right there. And that gets you there. So that makes sense from that perspective. The thing I don't like about Dallas is I'm not that high on any of the players that they would probably be willing to put in this trade. So we're talking guys like Courtney Lee, just as an expiring contract. DeLon Wright is making about $9 million. And then you got Tim Hardaway Jr., who's making a little over $20 million. Oh,
I didn't mean to do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I got some hypothetical trades written down, so we can hop into those. I'm gonna cover up your face here. It'll just be easier for me. Oh, you were muted. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. Yeah, I don't know. My software just screwed up. That's why that graphic popped up and whatever. But yeah. We good. We good. We good.
Tori's always trying to mess me up.
Yep, I'm always killing your vibe, you get in the flow, but anyway, basically he was describing some of the options we have out there, but we can go over these in some hypothetical trades here. So I covered up Eric's face. It's just easiest for me to do it like this. So apologies, but here you go. Tori's so savage. So first trade idea I had, and I want what you guys think of this from Portland's end. And also, Eric, I want to hear what you think of this from Dallas's end. First trade idea I had, let me put in Dallas, let me put in Portland. First trade idea I had was Whiteside to Dallas, Trevor Ariza to Dallas, and Caleb Swanigan to Dallas. I've checked all these under the CBA. Tim Hardaway and Courtney Lee to the Portland Trailblazers. I think they'd have to take on Swanigan with $2 million out of their $11.8 million trade exception they got for Harrison Barnes. But this trade would also have Dallas sending Golden State's second round pick to the Portland Trailblazers. Let me minimize it a little bit there. Would also have them sending their, the 31st, 32nd pick in the draft to Portland, right? So from Dallas's end, they get a small forward replacement for Hardaway, which probably fits a little better in Ariza. Portland, they also get Hassan Whiteside, which is that center replacement for Portland's end. You get a $20 million expiring contract next offseason. Somebody you can play at shooting guard or small forward. You also get an expiring contract, and then you get a pick for Whiteside. So I like that trade from Portland's end just because you get that $20 million expiring contract. You get that 31st, 32nd pick in the draft this next year. And you also duck the tax, so I think Jody would like it as well. I think that's a good trade, kind of the structure we were talking about before. What do you think about that trade, Eric?
It's all right. I would rather not include Ariza in that
Mm-hmm.
deal, but yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, Ariza's kind of included. Like we wouldn't have to include Ariza. We could literally do it like that. But we take on $3 million. So it was like if Jody really wants to duck the tax, we'd include Ariza, and that would make sense for Dallas. But you could also spin this into a 3-team trade, which I like a little bit more. So you had Ariza going to Dallas. Instead of taking on Tim Hardaway Jr., you send Tim Hardaway Jr. to Chicago and take on Otto Porter Jr. This is a trade machine episode, guys. You also send Courtney Lee to Chicago, and you take on Felicio, and you'd also have to take on Brokoff. But basically, this is basically kind of the same structure. Dallas is getting the same players, giving up pretty much the same players, giving up that second round pick. But overall, it makes sense for all these teams involved. I think you get Chicago is getting Hardaway for Otto Porter Jr. They save $7 million there because Hardaway's making $20 million, Otto Porter Jr. is making $27 million, and then they also get out from Felicio's contract and get an expiring for that, so they basically trade Porter Jr. and Felicio for Hardaway Jr. next year, and they save about $15 million. Portland still ducks the tax, I think, or gets close to ducking the tax after that trade. So that's another deal I like. What do you think?
I kind of like it better if you once again didn't include Ariza and Felicio goes to the Mavs in there with
Mm-hmm.
their
Yeah.
trade exception.
Yeah.
Uh,
Which we could do. We could do
yeah.
in that scenario. Portland just wouldn't get under the luxury tax. So a lot of these, based on that original trade, as I was trying to find stuff that worked for Portland that would help them duck the luxury tax as well, where they'd get some assets back. So this would make sense too. But Portland would only shed like $2 million. So I've been trying to get them under the luxury tax based on what Jody Allen seems to want, which is to save some money.
See, I think if we just traded straight up with Dallas, it would be a lot easier. You could just do something like Tim Hardaway Jr. and a small contract for Hazonia and Whiteside or Swanigan and Whiteside or whatever. And then that ducks the tax. Or you could do like
this one right here. You got DeLon Wright and Courtney Lee in that Golden State second this year for Hassan Whiteside and Caleb Swanigan.
Yeah.
That would make a ton of sense.
That ducks the tax. We get a little better player, and we don't give up Ariza. So I like those. I think all three-way trade scenarios that involve like getting a Otto Porter Jr. or a Covington or whatever, I think of most of those we wouldn't be worried about ducking the tax or trying to duck the tax and get that guy. Because if we were, those scenarios would have had to take place when we could aggregate Bazemore's contract with those. It would make it a lot more easier. So like if we're going after an Otto Porter Jr. and we get him for Whiteside, basically, I don't think it would matter to them to duck the tax unless that's the only goal, in which case you basically just trade Whiteside for the best possible asset you can.
I mean, I think
this trade right here.
I think getting that early second round pick and like a guy like DeLon Wright would be phenomenal for us on Whiteside. Would be a phenomenal return because, as I said, DeLon Wright's been a good player this year, and I think he is a good fit as a third guard, as a guy who can just defend and make plays, and just an all-around solid player, and he's a big guard. He's like 6'4", 6'5", so he can, fit next to Dame and CJ and just complement them well, in my opinion. I like this trade for that reason. We duck the tax, but we get back that early second-round pick, and we get back DeLon Wright. So we get back good assets while ducking the tax for Jody. So I like a deal like that. Another thing we could do is maybe send, instead of taking back DeLon Wright and Courtney Lee, we send DeLon Wright and Courtney Lee to Minnesota because Minnesota needs a point guard. They just trade Jeff Teague. They need a youngish, cheap point guard. So maybe you trade DeLon Wright and Courtney Lee. Instead of taking them on, you trade them to Minnesota and you take back Gorgie Jang.
Yeah.
In that case, we'd save like $11 million. We create an $11 million traded player exception. We get Jang, who would replace Whiteside basically as our big. Jang would be a $16 million expiring contract. We'd duck the tax. We'd still get back the second round pick from Dallas, Golden State second round pick basically in the early 30s. So there's some options here if we can be creative that I really, really like. And basically, I probably didn't do the best job of like showcasing our options there, but I like the moves that we can spin off of this. I like the moves that we can make off of this. I like how teams would want DeLon Wright. Maybe we could get DeLon Wright because he hasn't been playing lately in Dallas, and I think he's getting unhappy there. And if we can, and I like that early second round pick. So I like the kind of a lot of the trade ideas that we can spin off this.
His brother, Darrell Wright, former Blazer, just posted on Twitter last night that he's super frustrated.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys haven't seen that, you can probably easily find it on Twitter. Just search Darrell Wright. Obviously, Darrell Wright played for us in the past. You guys should be familiar with him, but he was annoyed for his brother because there's no reason DeLon Wright shouldn't be playing right now in Dallas. DeLon Wright has been killing it this season. He's been phenomenal. And they're kind of screwing him over right now. So, that's a solid asset back. And Courtney Lee's expiring contract makes sense. I don't know. There's just a lot of deals that you can spin off that in 2-team trades, 3-team trades that I like.
Would you trade, if we got that DeLon Wright in a trade, would you trade him straight up for Derrick Rose?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, if we're trying to win in the next, if we're trying to win in the next 2-3 years, then Derrick Rose is the better option. Would be a phenomenal third guard. Like Derrick Rose is one hell of a player right now. I don't think Detroit would do that. I think Detroit would want more for Derrick Rose than just DeLon Wright. But maybe you could flip DeLon Wright and that second round pick you got from Dallas that's in the early 30s for Derrick Rose, because that's a really, really good second round pick, and they get a younger point guard that fits their timeline a little bit more, and who's been productive. If that was the case, if you could flip Hassan Whiteside for like a Derrick Rose in an expiring contract, like a Courtney Lee and a Derrick Rose, that'd be a phenomenal trade too, And once Nurkic gets back, Labissiere gets back, we're not going to really have a need for Whiteside. Yes, he'd be the backup center if he stayed here, but I don't know. I feel like his play is going to fall off a bit as the backup center because he's not going to want to be a backup center. I don't think you can get Hassan Whiteside to buy into being the backup center. So if his play falls off a bit, is he really that much better than Skal Labissiere at backup center? I don't think so. So I'd rather have a player at another position or trade Whiteside for a big who would be fine coming off the bench and might be a 2-year contract that we could trade in the offseason or trade during next season, So, for example, Gorgie Jang, who we've talked about a ton here on Blazers Uprise, that would be a good target in my opinion.
Sage Mode saying DeLon Wright can't shoot, so he doesn't fit with Luka. He's shooting, 37% from 3 this year. Mm-hmm. So that hasn't been the issue. I mean, that's fine. You kind of liked that signing the offseason. I thought it was weird. I didn't think DeLon Wright was a great fit for the Mavs, especially after they signed Curry and they had Luka, who controls the ball a lot.
I liked it. I liked it because of the defensive end for the most part, because he's a big guard who can guard either guard spot and some threes as well, I think. So when you have 2 big guards in there, you got Luka, you got DeLon Wright, and then, I don't know, like a Tim Hardaway Jr., right? You have 3 guys that are all switchable. You have 3 guys that can guard, Luka might not guard 1 through 3 well, but he can do just as good of a job guarding point guards and small forwards, I think. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like they're just kind of like versatile across positions. Even though Tim Hardaway Jr., Luka Doncic aren't the best defenders, they can do an okay-ish job guarding 1 through 3. So I just liked it for the switchability that DeLon Wright provided, because he was a point guard, could be a secondary ball handler. I thought he could play off the ball a little bit better than people thought, because he's not as bad as he's a solid shooter. He's kind of had some slumps throughout his career, but I think he's a solid shooter. So I did like that signing. I do think they should be playing him more. And I like DeLon Wright's fit with Seth Curry too. because Seth Curry is like a 6'2" shooting guard. DeLon Wright's like a 6'5" point guard. So, you'd have DeLon Wright be the point guard in the offense, but defensively you could have Seth Curry guard point guards and DeLon Wright guard shooting guards and be fine. So I just liked how it fit with a lot of their pieces, and now they're not playing them. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, can't really argue with it though. They've been playing pretty good, and it's mostly their between Porzingis and Al Powell. It's mostly been their bigs that have been struggling for minutes. Not they just have too many guard options, I think, and that's why the trade makes so much sense to get rid of one of those or two of those guys to get a center, which you really need.
Mm-hmm. And I think literally the best pick we could get for Whiteside is that early second round pick. Not many playoff teams need a center. That's the problem. Not many playoff teams need a center. The only other playoff team that could be intrigued with Whiteside is maybe Boston, but they don't have the salaries they'd be willing to trade because they're not going to trade Gordon Hayward or Marcus Smart in a package for Hassan Whiteside. So that doesn't make sense as a Hassan Whiteside destination. So I mean, what teams out there with a late first round pick are going to want to go out and trade for Hassan Whiteside? There's really none of them. So I think that early second round pick from Dallas is the best pick the Portland Trail Blazers could get back for Hassan Whiteside. And like I said, there's DeLon Wright would be an intriguing prospect for us, and we could maybe flip him to another team if we didn't really want him. They got a $13 million expiring contract in Courtney Lee that we can take back. They also have an $11 million trade player exception, so we could maybe dump, Hazonia and Swanigan on them as part of the trade if we had some leverage there, and we could save that money, and we could possibly duck under the tax. So there's a lot of intriguing variables with the potential Hassan Whiteside to Dallas Mavericks trade, and I think, honestly, I have a feeling that's going to happen because Detroit's going to want a first for Andre Drummond. Dallas
doesn't have a first to give him.
Dallas doesn't have a first to give him, and teams don't really want to give a first for Andre Drummond anyway. So if you're talking about so I think it's whatever they can get for their second round pick. I think the best option out there for them will be Hassan Whiteside. You're talking about, think of the length with that front court with Porzingis and Whiteside in that front court. The length would be insane. You got the league leader in blocks. And then Luka throws a lot more lobs than Dame or CJ. Hassan's a good lob target, and I think that fits well with the pick and roll with Luka and Whiteside. So I like his fit there too. I think Dallas has been interested in him in the past. They wanted him in free agency when Hassan Whiteside was a free agent 4 years ago. They were still willing to take him on a couple years ago, but they needed sweeteners because Hassan Whiteside was on a 3-year, $27 million a year contract. So now he's on an expiring contract, so they're not having to commit future money to him. They're not having to have a 2 or 3 year obligation to paying Hassan Whiteside $27 million a year. So now that he's on an expiring contract, I think he has some value to them where they'd actually be willing to give up assets for him. So overall, I think it just makes a ton of sense as a Hassan Whiteside fit. But granted, Olshey always does something we don't really see coming. Olshey always pulls something out of his hat. We try and cover basically every possibility, but he still was able to just pull something random. Rodney Hood wasn't really being discussed last year. Enes Kanter on the buyout was a surprise. That wasn't a trade, but that was still, around the trade deadline, after the trade deadline, that was still a move. That surprised everybody. I feel like he's either going to be traded to Dallas or it's going to be something completely random that we haven't thought of. And we're just wow, we'll say just random, took us by surprise. So my prediction is he's going to be going to Dallas, but I could also see how Olshey will just randomly pull another rabbit out of the hat.
Yeah, the only other team that's mentioned in chat several times is Charlotte, that has the Cleveland Cavaliers early second, which could be fighting for that Golden State one for 31-32. So that's probably the best case scenario, like you said. They have some intriguing players too. It's just most of them are either expiring or ones they probably wouldn't give up. But like Batum, you'd have to take on $25 million next year. Him for Whiteside works, but we don't get under the tax, and we get that second round pick, which is about the same as with Dallas. So I'd rather trade with Dallas, get under the tax, and get a pick about the same spot.
Yeah.
But and plus, if you got a DeLon Wright, it would be a better trade chip than Batum would be. Even though his contract's not as much, he's a better and younger player. So yeah, I do like Dallas. I just don't like some of the players they have.
Is Sage Mode a Dallas fan?
I don't know.
If Sage Mode is a Dallas fan, then I want to know if he'd do these trades for Dallas. But he says, I don't know if Dallas have the players that would help Portland because they kind of overloaded the guard position like Portland, to be honest. That's where like 3-team trades come into play. That could be intriguing. But as I've said all year long, if we don't make a win now trade for like a piece that could help us contend this year, next year, whenever, if we don't do that this year, we need to trade for 2-year contracts so we have expiring contracts next year, so we're not stuck without expiring contracts next year, because that could cause it so that we miss out on a guy. If we had expiring contracts last year, we would have been able to trade for Otto Porter Jr., but we had 2-year contracts. I think we were going to attach a first-round pick with those because they didn't have much value, and then Chicago swooped in at the last second and gave up expiring contracts for Otto Porter Jr. It was Bobby Portis and Jabari Parker. Washington didn't keep either of those guys. You know what I mean? So expiring contracts are valuable when you're trying to make a midseason trade. A lot of teams want expiring contracts. If we don't get anything legit for our expiring contracts this year, which we didn't get anything legit for Bazemore. We got, basically another expiring contract, which provides a little bit more flexibility. But so Trevor Ariza, by legit, I mean like somebody that could possibly vault us into contention. If we don't get that this year for our expirings, we need to turn them into 2-year contracts and get expiring contracts next year. So even if that's a guard, I'm fine with that. This season, I'm not really focused on this season. I'm focused on how can we get to contention. How can we take the steps to contention? How can we set ourselves up to take those steps?
Right. And for anyone who thinks that keeping Whiteside is the answer, that's my biggest problem. It might be slightly better this year, but not next year, especially if he leaves, than having traded him for some sort of asset we can use to acquire our small forward of the future, since we didn't get that for Bazemore. We still need a wing to contend in the West, I think. And not knowing when Hood will be back or what his status will be when he does come back. We need another wing and one that's a good defender and a 3-point shooter. So maybe you find that in the draft, maybe you don't, but it becomes a lot harder to find that if we keep Whiteside just for a run this year. Plus it just doesn't really, I don't see the value in that. But.
So Sage Mode is a Dallas fan. So this is a question for Sage Mode, who's a Dallas fan. I just said that. I don't know why I repeated that. Anyway, question for Sage. Would you take Hassan Whiteside and Caleb Swanigan for DeLon Wright, Courtney Lee, and that early second-round pick of Golden State's that Dallas has? So Whiteside and Swanigan for DeLon Wright, Courtney Lee, and Golden State's second-round pick this year. Would you do that as a Mavericks fan? I'm just curious to see the answer.
We have another Mavs fan, Luca the Don 77, wouldn't mind any of the trades that don't involve Tim Hardaway.
Gotcha.
And Sage was the same way. He said there's no way they were trading Tim Hardaway.
Gotcha. I guess they're a lot higher on Hardaway than I am personally, but that's fine. So Luca, would you do that trade that I suggested too, Whiteside and Swanigan for Wright, Lee, and that early second round pick? I want to hear your guys' opinion. It's nice that we have a couple fans of another team when we're talking about possible trades with the other team, because we can see would they be willing to do it.
So the only problem I have with Dallas and Whiteside is that with their big trade exception they have an ability to get several centers that might fit just as well without having to give up so much for him, and then they could trade DeLon Wright elsewhere. But we're talking, they could maybe get a Tyler Zeller.
Zeller?
Yeah. Cody Zeller. Sorry, from the Hornets.
Dude, okay, but that dude is
for Courtney Lee and a pick.
True.
I know he's not great. I'm just saying that's all it would take to get him is Courtney Lee's expiring and a second round.
Yeah, I think they'd want to get the best center available though. I mean, they're killing it this year. They'd want to get the center that's the best fit, a lob target, somebody that could protect the rim. I think Luca says he would. I think Whiteside just is the best target out there, and I feel like they're going to go for the best target. Cody Zeller's been a horrible defender this year. The Hornets games I've watched, man, that dude is just, he's not athletic. He doesn't move his feet well. He's not doesn't have great length for a center. Doesn't have great instincts. That dude just is not a good rim protector. So that's the thing. Is Zeller, I don't like his fit. He'd basically just be like another Powell. I think they'd want to get a true rim protector and a true lob target.
I think they could probably get these aren't necessarily great options, but like a John Henson or a Taj Gibson for free, basically, too.
Yeah, but we're talking about mediocre role players. I think they'd want a legit starting center for that early second round pick. I think Whiteside is far better than those guys. Far, far better, you know?
Well, you might think that, but around the league, look how many people laughed at us getting Whiteside.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. But that's just Dallas has been interested in him in the past, so that's kind of leads me to believe, okay, they have a more positive view of him than some other teams. You know, of course, they might view him as they might, he puts up empty stats, doesn't help you win. They might think that. And if they think that, then, yeah, it's probably not going to happen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think that they view him as the best option. I think he for sure is the best option. Even if that narrative is true, I still think he's a noticeably better option than a Taj Gibson or even a Cody Zeller or a guy like that. So I think Whiteside makes a ton of sense for them, man.
If they didn't mind going to the tax, I guess they could get Whiteside and a Taj Gibson and just solidify their front line.
Or get a Whiteside, and then if Indiana trades for a wing, maybe a DeRozan. Let's say, I'm spitting hypotheticals here. I'm just gonna go on a road, just down this road. All right, Indiana, I think will make an upgrade. I think it will be like a DeMar. I think they're a dark horse candidate for DeMar DeRozan, in my opinion, because they have a lot of shooting. Miles Turner can shoot. Sabonis hasn't shot well this year, but he can hit mid-range shots. They have really good floor spacing. I feel like they might be a team that's okay, we need one more piece, and they might go out there and trade for DeMar DeRozan, right? If they do that, you'd have to do Jeremy Lamb, Doug McDermott, and TJ Leaf, and smaller contracts, Justin Holiday, maybe, whatever. If San Antonio's blowing it up, they wouldn't want Jeremy Lamb. Jeremy Lamb's making $10 million a year. That would be a perfect candidate for Dallas to take on for that trade exception. I know they're kind of jam-packed at wings, but Finney-Smith can play the 4. I think Lamb would be better than a lot of the stuff they have there. I think Lamb would possibly be a starter for them. Lamb's a very, very solid player, and San Antonio probably wouldn't want him because they'd be rebuilding. So I don't know. That's the thing. It's they could hop in and possibly look at wings, possibly look at players that. How do I explain this? If there's a team in Indiana trading a player that's solid for an upgrade to a team that's trying to rebuild, and that rebuilding team doesn't care to have that solid player, they can flip them to Dallas. Dallas could be in play in 3-team trades for players getting traded to rebuilding teams that can still help them out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's going down a huge rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. It's kind of fun to do, but I don't see DeRozan going to Indiana. But
you don't think that's possible? They got 2022 draft pick, I think, and
I think they're happy with.
And Bitadze seems like a Spur, man.
That's true, but I think that they're just going to be happy adding Oladipo to this team that's already in contention, and just going from there.
Yeah, I think they'll make a splash, man. I think Indiana's going to do something. I'm excited to see what they do.
I see Kevin Love more than he seems like an Indiana.
Honestly, though, I think they trade for LaMarcus Aldridge before Kevin Love.
That's
true. No long-term salary. Nate used to coach Aldridge. Is it Pritchard's the GM there, right?
Yeah.
Then Pritchard was there when Pritchard drafted Aldridge. So there's some connections there.
Well, there's some debate on that draft, but he was technically the one that made the phone calls. Yeah.
So 3 big rotation with Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner, and LaMarcus Aldridge. That'd be phenomenal. and probably wouldn't take too much to get LaMarcus Aldridge. I think they'll be in play for somebody. I think they'll surprise some people. I haven't heard people really talking about them as a team at the trade deadline that'll make a move. But I think that's a possibility. So my title got 3 dislikes. 3 people disliked the title because they skipped over the word prediction there. So if you're watching this, leave us a like. It helps us out. We got 3 dislikes on it, so you got to fight back against those people. But yeah, we can take your questions before we finish off this podcast. We've kind of been just going on our own and not really watching chat a whole lot, so we can just respond to chat.
I don't know if you saw it, but Sage Mode did say he would do that trade as well.
That's interesting. See, I would do that trade in a heartbeat.
So maybe it's not enough. Maybe they need to throw in a future second too.
If we could, that'd be phenomenal. I'd be happy with that trade, though. And it's
recoup the 2 seconds we just lost.
And it's like, some people, if you'd be happy doing that trade, then Whiteside isn't as good as we think. That's not the case. Like, Whiteside I think is a good starting center. I've been supportive of Whiteside all season long, even when some Blazer fans were like overreacting to a bad game here and there. It just doesn't make sense to keep Whiteside when we got Nurkic coming back, and Whiteside is going to be a free agent and not going to want to come off the bench. Nurkic is very underrated, so that's the thing. It just doesn't make sense for us to keep Whiteside. We have a lot of bigs that'll come back and be healthy. We have Nurkic coming back, and Whiteside probably wants to be a starting center somewhere. So if Whiteside got traded to Dallas, I think he'd end up resigning there because he could be a starting center there on a playoff team. I think he'd like playing with Luka. He just doesn't make sense for us to keep.
Yeah, I think he would be a little better. Luka seems a little better at throwing lobs and getting it Hassan to the right spots and stuff.
Part of that is his height.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But yeah, Powell losing that athletic big is going to hurt them a lot, I think.
That's the thing too. Is like Dallas was like the main destination I thought Whiteside would have a chance of going to, where we could get something solid back, and then they lost Powell. So it's like even more so now. Sucks that they lost Powell. Dwight Powell is super underrated, man. That's a big loss for them. He's a really good defender, really efficient big rim runner, lob catcher. That dude was one of the most underrated bigs in the league, in my opinion. Advanced stats favor him heavily. Real plus minus stuff like that. So but just watching him play, man, he was just such a perfect fit next to Luka, next to Porzingis. Just a solid big that not many people knew of unless they're diehard NBA fans, and now he's out for this season. It's a shame.
And he just re-signed with them for a really nice deal. It's like 10 to 12 million range the next few years. So good value too on his contract. Hate to see that, but could end up benefiting us. You don't like it to be because of injury, but that stuff could happen. There's still 15 days till the trade deadline. And quick shout out for anyone new here. We're going to have a complete trade deadline, and day before we'll have a lot of coverage too. Any trades that go down, we'll have some coverage for those. So make sure you turn into Blazers Uprise for all your trade talk and trade breakdowns and all that stuff.
What in the world? Okay, so I just went on Twitter, right? Change the subject. The Yusuf Nurkic thing. He returned to practice. They practiced in full. But on Twitter, this account called LeBron Wire. In the bio, it says everything you need to know about LeBron James, part of the USA Today Sports Media Group, right? They had a tweet that said, source, Portland center Yusuf Nurkic likely out until after All-Star break. It doesn't seem like real, LeBron Wire, what the hell. But Casey Holdall quoted that and said, Nurkic went through a full practice today, but his return is reportedly still a ways off.
Yeah.
I don't know if Casey's just going off of that tweet. Like, I'm confused. I'm very confused by that.
I'm guessing that the plan all along has been All-Star break, so I don't know if that's just them going with it. My idea is to play him, if he's ready, in the game on February 9th, and that it's a home game, so he gets his first game at home. Pump up the crowd and all that stuff. Everyone will go crazy, and then 2 days later we go on like a road trip. I forgot who we play, like New Orleans and someone else.
In Memphis.
And Memphis. So you sit him out the first night of that, so you give him 2 full days to rest, and then play him a few minutes in the game on the 12th. And then he basically would get 2 games to kind of test his leg, kind of get his groove going, get in action a little bit. You don't have to play him big minutes or anything, just like 10 minutes or 15 minutes or something. And then you sit him out the entire week of the All-Star break. You can recover, kind of see how it felt after playing a couple of games, a few minutes, and then just go from there and see how he does. But yeah, I have a feeling it probably will be the first game after the All-Star break, because we have I think a 3-game homestand right after the All-Star break.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like based on the injury timeline and whatnot, I was saying like he could return end of January. I mean, he's back to full practice. We still got 9 days left in January. It sounds like they're just being super cautious. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure that he wouldn't be ready to like. If they weren't being as cautious as they were, I feel like he could be like completely ready to go by the end of this month. They're just like in a season like this, no reason to rush him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You look at like broken bones, broken legs, whatever. I mean, he hurt it March 25th. So you're talking about him returning, if it's after the All-Star break, 11 months after the injury. That's a lot longer than most people usually take to return from an injury like that. Usually it's like 9 to 10 months, sometimes 8. Like Paul George returned at 8, I think. So 11 months is a bit like past the typical timetable. I mean, the injury happened basically 10 months ago. So, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, that's just speculation. I'm not a doctor. Every injury is different. But
if he just got cleared for his first full practice today, then that's probably the doctors saying that, not the team. So,
I mean, but he could have been cleared before. He just said Nurkic went through a full practice today. So, I mean, like, maybe, yeah, he got cleared, but maybe it was something where they were just kind of like just slowly working him up without rushing him. I don't know. I mean, it's obviously I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating here. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, if he's going through a full practice, it's, I mean, that's like, the next step is basically playing,
Yeah.
I know it was like 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 or whatever, but I mean, like, the next step is playing. So I don't know like what the difference is in his like leg, but now that he can go through a full contact practice and then to like being able to play in an NBA game, like what, like, doesn't seem like those two steps need a month in between them,
Obviously, he's been conditioning for a while, so you think he wouldn't be too far away from being in shape. His body looks great. Like, it looks like he didn't put on any weight. It looks a lot leaner, actually. And it's not like the summer he lost a bunch of weight. He doesn't look like weak lean, He looks like strong lean, if that makes sense. But yeah, so you would think it'd probably take about 2 weeks to get back into game shape once you're actually practicing. So that puts it right around the All-Star break, maybe a little before the All-Star break. But yeah, it makes sense to me.
So somebody responded to Casey Holdahl saying, "Why would you use this source? Are you not closer to the team than a LeBron stand page?" Casey said, "You might have to do a bit of inference on your own here," which is the typical Casey Holdahl type reply there. But then he also said, "Also, it's USA Today and was written by Eric Gunderson, who covers the Blazers for a number of outlets, as well as running the LeBron Wire." Eric Gunderson runs the LeBron Wire, apparently.
Weird.
Because I didn't click on the article, but that's very, very strange. But okay, it's Eric Gunderson who has, covers the Blazers. So I mean, I don't know. But the thing is, they're not gonna leak a there isn't really like a timetable. They're not gonna leak a timetable. You know what I mean? So I don't really fully believe that. Like
Well, they've said since media day that it would be February. So. And the All-Star break is in the middle of February, so
yeah,
it makes sense.
Like,
yeah,
I've just felt like this all along. It's just like, okay, he's going to be full contact practice, practice, whatever. And then, like, one day he's just going to be active. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to get cleared to play. They're going to decide to play, and it's just literally going to be like that. Okay, there you go. You're playing. You know, it's not going to be something where, like, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be just kind of, like, you know, made a day before or something, a couple of days before. I feel like they're not, you know, I feel like they haven't put a timetable on any of it, so why would they say he's out until the All-Star break? You know what I mean? But also, the title of this said source Portland center Yusuf Nurkic likely out until after the All-Star break. So it's not even saying he is out until the All-Star break. It's saying likely. Like, anybody can speculate that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's all just speculation. It's hard to know what their game plan is. Just like with the trade scenario. Like, is the directive to cut money, or is it to get the team better?
I mean, the article says, according to a source familiar with the situation who spoke to the USA Today Sports Media Group on the condition of an anonymity. God, I hate saying words like this. How do you say it? Anonymity?
No.
Anonymity? Anonymity?
There you go. I was just gonna.
Okay, then they spelled it wrong because there's no N. Anonymity. I think they spelled it. How do you spell?
It is anonymity. Yeah.
Anonymity.
That's how you spell it. Yeah.
Anonymity. Anonymity.
Anonymity.
No, there's no third N there though, based on the spelling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know I said it right. You're messing me up because there's no third N there. I was looking at the way it's spelled. It's It's ANONYMITY. So anonymity. Anonymity. Yeah, not anonymity. Oh my god. Anyway.
Everyone's telling you to. Sorry, just stop.
Bro, look how it's spelled. Literally, it's. Man, how do you say that? There's no third N there. You guys are trying to get me, bro. It's anonymity. Anonymity. I just looked at the pronunciation with all the lines and the upside down letters and all that stuff, and I'm right. So.
That's funny. So his source is Casey Holdall. Is that what he meant by referring?
I don't know, but apparently the source spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak on the matter.
Yeah, but why would they tell Eric Gunderson that?
Exactly. Like, stuff never gets leaked. Like, I don't know.
And so for people worried about not having a center if we trade Whiteside, that's why the ideal situation is still Covington and Jang, but it's looking like Minnesota's asking for an awful lot for Covington. So that might not be possible. But this is probably a reason why they didn't make a smaller trade exception and kept the hood disabled player exception, because then we can trade for a center, say a Willie Hernan-Gomez or someone like that. Just if we needed a cheap option as center to tie us over until Nurk was healthy.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Sounds like you got some chaos going on there at the house, bro.
Oh, it's always drama here.
Yep. So Zion makes his debut in an hour and a half. I'm going to go catch that. This live stream popped off, so shout out to everybody who tuned in and watched it. I figured that title was going to get people clicking on this. Like, what the hell are they talking about? Can maybe take questions from chat for 5 minutes, because I know I said we were going to do that, and then we kind of went on something else, on the Yusuf Nurkic thing. But yeah, we'll take questions from chat for 5 minutes, I promise this time. And then
if Dame Dalla is still here, yes, I'm going to the game tomorrow night, not tonight. Like, he asked me if I was going to the game tonight, but there is no game tonight.
A toilet clogger that told me how to pronounce it right. They're all saying pronunciations. Oh my goodness. Anyway. The People's Mix, we had a lot planned for this podcast, bro. I can't just, like, anything somebody tweets at us, I can't just, like, break that down, you know what I mean? Like, I had to do 12 games of graphics, and then I would have had to screen grab those tweets and stuff. So So maybe on the post game show or something. I don't know. Or yeah, honestly, during the All-Star break, that'd be a good video idea.
Which one?
He made a thread about Dame being underrated and being, good thread. Put some research into it. I retweeted it and
yeah,
gave it some coverage, by retweeting it. And he wants
a lot
me
of
to
that stuff
do a
is
whole
like
podcast segment around it.
People's mix. So a lot of that stuff. I mean, it's like common knowledge for Blazer fans. Dame's a good player.
Yeah, and I said I would, so I need to, but no, I would want to do it if we just had not much to talk about on a podcast. That's the thing, is we didn't do a podcast Monday because I didn't think because we had streamed a ton that previous weekend and I didn't really know what to talk about. But there's multiple podcasts where we go into podcasts where I'm like, I have no idea what we're going to talk about today. But today you have 12 games, picks against the spread. You have the Hassan Whiteside stuff because Dwight Powell just got hurt. You have Yusuf Nurkic returning to full practice, and then you have Zion Williamson debuting tonight. So sorry I couldn't get to that, but we'll get to that, bro. I will get to that at some point. Just a little bit of patience. Anyway, why can't we keep Hassan though? Because we talked about it in this podcast, so if you want to watch it back a little bit, we kind of went into depth on it. My hopes are high on Gabriel as well. I hope he breaks out here. Yeah, that game's going to be interesting tomorrow, guys. We got Ariza making his Blazer debut. We got Wenyen Gabriel making his Blazer debut. We got
maybe
if he plays, and then we got Caleb Swanigan making his Blazer return. Yeah, but that game will be interesting.
Hamza is asking if Ariza is still a good defender. According to defensive box, real box plus minus, he is. Also, he's better than any other option we have at the wing, I think, right now. The other guys,
too,
yeah. So he's got a little bit more size than Bazemore. Maybe not the wingspan Bazemore has, but just in terms of height, he's bigger. And then he's not as inexperienced as some of the rookies who might turn out to be good defenders like Little someday, but they just don't understand how to defend in the NBA quite yet. So this is a vet that knows how to do everything. He's got all the old man tricks. I think he'll look a lot better on this roster than he did with the Kings this year.
Yep. I'm looking forward to see how it looks. He shoots better 3-point percentage than Bazemore, though, so I mean...
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, he plays bad, and it's just as bad as Bazemore, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's no... I don't know. He's not going to be... I have a hard time seeing him being worse than Bazemore. You look at him statistically and really break it down, he's, noticeably better. Bazemore's been rough, man, so...
And we've talked about it, too, how he plays within his role. He doesn't try to go crazy and do stuff that's out of his skill set very often. So
yeah, I actually had a friend playing in my rec league last night that works at the airport that apparently saw Anthony Tolliver and Kent Bazemore leaving yesterday. He's a TSA guy, but yeah, he was talking about Anthony Tolliver doesn't look that tall. He only looks 6'5". I'm like, dude, that dude can't jump, and you saw him dunk in a game, right? That dude is definitely at least 6'8". But yeah, I mean, sucks to see them go. We'll be interested to see if Baze can kind of pick up his play in Sacramento, but it seems to just kind of be regressing. I don't know if he's I feel like he might have worked hard to get to his contract, and then once he got his contract, didn't keep up that same level of work ethic, and therefore declined. Because you look at his stats, he got better until he got paid. And then he got paid, and then he's declined pretty much every year since then. Or maybe his second year in that contract might have been his career year, but he's declined on this big contract. So it'll be interesting to see how Baze does.
That was back when they had Millsap and good players around him too, though.
True.
Which is weird because he used to be a good role player, but then when he got his contract, kind of like what you said, I don't know if it was lack of working, but he thought all of a sudden he was better than he was and tried to take over sometimes, and that's not his style. But
first P Last JL is dropping rap lyrics in the chat. He's dropping bars, man. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So anyway, if you guys got any last minute questions, we'll wrap up this podcast in a couple of minutes.
Otto Porter's out like 3 more weeks. If we trade for him, what would we do without Hassan? Like I said, we still have that trade exception. We can trade for a cheap center option, and we have Biggie Swanigan now, so that's all we can do.
I mean, I don't know. Don't worry about this year, guys. I'm not worried about this year. Antonio Brown has an arrest warrant. God, Antonio Brown, man.
Yep.
Just waiting to see if you guys got any more questions. If not, in 20 seconds, I'm going to sign off. We'll be back tomorrow. I got to go edit a mailbag. I'm going to edit it right now. I'm going to edit it. I was stupid because I wasn't like, I don't know, my laptop is super hard to edit on lately. Just like super, super slow and freezing and crashing. It's kind of like hurt my workflow because I want to get out of the house, you know. But I had so many old videos from like even my True Blazer fan days saved on my laptop, and once I deleted those, it fixed everything. Like it was just taking up too much storage, and I'm like, I'm dumb for not even thinking of that. Like, so now it's a lot better. So now it should be easier to edit on. So I'm gonna go edit that, watch a little bit of Zion, get that mailbag out tonight, which that's the plan, and then maybe tomorrow morning. It might come out tomorrow morning. Not entirely sure. And then we'll have the post-game stream tomorrow after the Blazers take on the Mavericks. We'll break down Ariza's debut, possibly Gabriel's debut, Swanigan's possible return. That'll be an interesting game. And that's the coverage for the next day or two. So we'll also break down Zion's debut on that post-game show a little bit. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. It's going to be interesting to watch him. Against like Aldridge and DeRozan and these guys. So looking forward to that. So anyway, we get any last minute questions? Vincent Poirier.
The 49ers.
Niners don't win. What would I do? I delete my channel. No, I'm just kidding. Niners better win, man. I'll see you later, people's mix. Yeah, I'm very excited for the Niners, man. I want to get. I don't know what a championship feels like, so I want to experience one of my teams winning a championship. We're right there. Great team, great football team. Just got to take care of the Chiefs. So I'm nervous. I'm excited. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be one hell of a game too. It's gonna be one hell of a game. The Friday before that Super Bowl, we can break down like what we're looking forward to in the game
for sure.
Then I'll wrap on a live stream. No, nope. But that wrap will drop before the end of the season. When you extend your house and get traded to Canada or something, I don't understand that. When Jody calls me, I'm going to veto trading Whiteside. Sorry guys. Oh, is Jody? You got Jody on the line, Jason Jensen. Where do you think the Blazers will rank this season, playoffs or not? 8th or 9th, kind of in there. Hopefully 7th. I'd be down for a 7th seed, go up against the Jazz or the Nuggets. I'd be down for that, but I don't think that's going to be really hard for us to attain. We're 6.5 games back. That's going to be tough. So anyway, we'll catch you guys. We'll catch you guys later. I'm gonna sign off. I'm gonna go get some food too. I'm hungry, so go get some of that panda and see if I don't know if I want to take that risk though.
You got it. Orange chicken can never be bad twice in a row, right?
Yes, it can. It has been. So, oh man. Yeah. I don't know. I gotta go figure something out. So anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Mellow hoodie not dropping tonight. I'm probably gonna drop it Friday. It just makes more sense to do a 3-day limited edition sale on like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just during the weekend, a weekend sale. It makes more sense than dropping it Wednesday. So that's the other thing I had to cover. There we go. I think I have everything out of the way. So I'll catch you guys later. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast, and until next time, peace out. Go Blazers.